Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Motivated Results. Seeing how I just completed Bryce's, not Bryce essentially, but mostly Bryce's, but TSA, the Strength Athletes 9-week intermediate program, I thought it would maybe be a good idea to review it for you guys here, for those of you that don't follow me on Instagram. Before we get into it, keep in mind this is a 9-week intermediate program. This is not a beginner powerlifting program. If that was the case, if that's where you stand, there's other programs I would suggest. Starting strength probably is one of the basics. Windler, which I'm not a big fan of for certain reasons, but we won't get into those today, but I still recommend it. And Candido's is quite good. I've actually done a review on that I'll link somewhere here or down below. With that said, this is a powerlifting program, which means that you're focusing on primarily 3 lifts, which are the squat, the deadlift, and the bench. You're primarily focusing on those 3 lifts, and so the accessory movements are pretty much focused on helping those 3 movements progress. And so you're training about 4 days a week. The accessory movements are pretty much the same week in and week out, and you don't have a lot of variation in that. So if you're coming from a bodybuilding style program scheme, this is going to be very weird to you and it might be a little boring. With that said, this is a very, very good program. I raved before about Candido's program. I'm gonna rave tremendously about this program. First of all, let's start off here. I get a little bit of a nerd boner when it comes to his Excel spreadsheets. I'm a big fan of Excel. In fact, probably my favorite out of the Microsoft suite. And so the way he's laid it out is very user-friendly. It's a very fun spreadsheet. With that said, I do like the spreadsheet. I think it's a good-looking programming spreadsheet. The only nitpicking I could do on the spreadsheet itself is I wish it was already readily printer friendly, but that's not a big deal. I think I mentioned that in one of my updates when I first started this program. I took a shitty deload, and we'll talk about that in another video. Because of that, coming into this program, the first couple of weeks were rough. I felt like my body wasn't just adjusted to heavy loads anymore. The RPE felt a lot higher than it would have been on paper. Halfway towards the program, my body got adjusted and used to it. And then by the end of the program, I always found myself looking at the sheet twice, making sure that the RPE scale was correct, because the weights felt much, much lighter than the RPE scale gauged it at. And I think that's really a good indicator of a good program. Powerlifting programs are essentially building strength, but then also priming you for the last couple of weeks where you're either going to lift big weight or test, or maybe even go do a powerlifting meet. I think a good indicator of a good program is when they prime you and towards the end the weights feel lighter than they ever have before. This program did this amazingly well for me. I've managed to put quite a bit on my total because of this program. I don't want to say the full numbers. I think it's about 30 pounds, 40 pounds. I'll have to look back at my numbers, but that's a decent jump for me, and I'm really enjoying the way that psychologically this program primes you at the end, because it feels so light towards the end that going into testing and going for either 1 to 3 rep max or going for a true test max, it was less of a psychological burden going into it, knowing that everything thus far has felt really light. Another thing I really like about the program is his warm-up scheme. He gives you a number of choices where you get to warm up and use those to kind of get your blood flowing a little bit more, get your heart rate up a little bit. That way, from there, you can move on to the lifts. I have also incorporated mobility in addition to those things, but it was great to see somebody really thinking about not just lifting weights, but also the warm-up progression, your focus, and then the lifting of the weights, and then also building in that self-confidence towards the end of the program. Overall though, this is a really good program, really good program. I really enjoyed it, and I probably see myself running this program again in the future because it's really laid out very well. I'm gonna link everything down below. If you guys have questions or comments, let me know. But that's it. See you guys next time.